Next, we have a panel discussion about balancing people, process, and technology, building the future of work. The moderator we have is Commander Vinayak Srimal, Director of IT, Indian Navy. So please take the dais and please put your hands together for him. Along with him, we have the panel members as Priyanka Sharma, Director, Digital Architecture, Firmenich. Thank you, ma'am. Joining them, we have Vignesh, Santhanam, India Lead Aerospace and Drones, World Economic Forum. All the best, so thank you so much for being here. And Anju Chaudhary, Senior Director Sales, Builder.ai. Please put your hands together for the panel members. And of course, I had a few questions in the last panel. A few of them were not answered. I told you that it's not answered. Now we have the opportunity. So over to you.
Thank you.
Balancing people, process, and technology.
Check,
Thank you.
Check. Am I audible?
You are.
So, good afternoon to the panel. Welcome on board. And we have the rather inglorious task of speaking to about 100 hungry stomachs right before lunch. So we'll try to make it short and sweet. The topic of the panel discussion is balancing people, processes, and technology, building the future of work. Now, I did a bit of Googling on this topic, and this framework came about in the 1960s. So this people, processes, and technology framework belongs to the 1960s. Over time, it has evolved. Bruce Schneier brought it to prominence somewhere around the 1990s, when it became a prominent framework for the cybersecurity models. In addition, there were factors like organization which were added to it. More recently, somebody tried to add partners to the process, people, and technology framework to make it more encompassing. On a lighter note, somewhere in the 2000s when we started getting to work, the only people, process, and technology we saw were PPTs. So PowerPoint became the de novo factor for work. Everything centered around that PPT that had to be presented to the boss. And Anju, I don't know if you figured out in Builder.ai how to get PPTs built to the boss's specifications.
We have to move out of it now.
Okay.
Enough of PPTs.
So I'm going to ask the first question to Priyanka. Priyanka, you've been in industry for quite a while. You have international exposure. So what, in your opinion, is going to be the future of work around the people, process, and technology framework? And how is it changing?
Thank you, Vinayak. I have learned the new explanation of PPT, which is brilliant. Okay, I think in this particular forum, I don't need to insist on, how technology is changing. But what has changed from past to now is the adoption of technology is very fast, which is inherently changing how we live, how we work, and also the whole thinking pattern. So whether we realize it or not, we are part of this big digital workforce. Every time you go online, you like something, you review something, you are actually working for somebody, you are giving data to somebody. And in this context, automation, cool apps, robotics is not only the future of work, it is the whole paradigm we are slipping into inherently, right? So we talk a lot about, AI and machine learning is taking up the jobs, or automation is killing the jobs. So in future of work, we have to find this balance between people, process, and technology so that it all can work together as an ecosystem or framework. I'll give you an example of the industry I'm working in. So I work for Firmenich. We manufacture fragrances. And one of the key profiles we have is a perfumer. So perfumer needs this very niche and curated skills. It takes years of studies and decades of experience. But in past 3 years, we were able to build an algorithm which can create perfumes, right? So what do we do now? And we named this robot Charlie. So what does Charlie do now? Can Charlie or will Charlie take the role of the perfumer and the jobs of perfumer will be cut? No, what we did in fact is we gave Charlie as an assistant to the perfumer. Now this perfumer and Charlie works together, and when we got the feedback from the perfumer, it was very amazing because they were telling that Charlie is giving them so much of information which they have not thought about. So it is actually augmenting their creativity, their knowledge, and in fact making the work even easier and more interesting for them. So future of work, according to me, is that whole ecosystem we will bring across for people, process, and technology, and fit it in an ethical framework.
Great. Vignesh, next question is directed to you. You've done a lot of pioneering work of getting the technology to the last line, making it reach to the person who needs it the most. So I'd like you to amplify on what Priyanka said and how this technology reaching the last person is transforming business.
No, absolutely, and thank you, Commander, for that. So I'll actually start by saying that this whole reallocation of resources between man and machine has already started. It started, I would say, close to a decade ago. Of course, it started more on the software side of things, but since Priyanka focused more on the AI and how it will act as a tool for the person who's on ground right now, I will also focus on non-humanoid robotics. So I'll just give you a classic case. If you go to a mine site, for example, if you go to a mining, an open cast mine, the current way of surveying is, you have a group of surveyors, they mount a total station, they generate analog maps on paper, they understand what they actually define the contours of the mine, determine haul routes based on that. Now with the introduction of, say, for example, drones, you have the mining survey that can be done in a matter of hours. So a process that took about 9 hours will now take 3 hours. It's just a question of flying a drone, setting waypoints, digitizing the entire open cast mine, and then taking decisions based on the outputs that you have. So does that mean that the total station engineer or the survey engineer will go away? That answer is definitely no. So I'll sort of say, I'll basically summarize that being purely digital at the core is not enough. So there is definitely a societal value that emerging technologies have to bring to the fore, and the future of work will be a function of that. Just because digitization comes in doesn't necessarily mean that a lot of things will be obsolete. So while we actually published a paper on the future of work in the year 2020, around the times of COVID, and while about 85 million jobs may be displaced, because of digitization, we will have around 95 million jobs that will be created at the same time. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be a total displacement. So amplifying what Priyanka also mentioned, and seconding what she said, is I definitely do believe that we have to focus on this whole skill penetration. It's just that while we progress in terms of digitization, we also have to address every possible skill gap as we chart that trajectory.
Wonderful. On that note, I'd like to bring in Anju. Like he said that we have to address the skill gap. So how do you see AI bridging the skill gap and making its way into the learning and development sector?
See, we have to first take a step back and realize that who is this future of work? Who are we referring to here? An individual, from the previous panel, if we go back to that question, there is so much demand that India has. And we have the right age group. But how do we take this age group and do things that's more relevant? And how do you automate the rest to the machine? So when you talk AI, you have to first take that, that segment that AI will take away jobs. No, AI won't take away jobs. It will produce different type of jobs. So for that, we will have to first skill our people right. If we still go back to the technologies, those were dated to probably decades back, we won't make a mark. So we have to train our folks right, and we have to train them on the right technologies so that they are able to be, so that they're part of this future that we are talking about. Two, now everything is changing about this person whose future of work. It is no more an office environment.
Right.
This person is coming from the fact of having multiple choices. Gone are the days when, if you're part of a bank or if you're part of a large company, you would not leave job. We've seen that no one cares. They just want to do the best. And at the same time, you don't know where this person wants to work from. Your technologies will also have to evolve with this person on their way, right? You just can't expect the same technologies like you come to office, punch your card, or just fill in an HR portal and say you're present. No, you can't expect this person to do this now. So you will also have to digitally evolve along with this person to be able to manage the same processes, but your tools will have to change to do that. So this evolving, you will have to evolve more than this person to keep this person aligned with you. And this is the future we are talking about.
Great. So Priyanka, typically in an organization when we talk about learning and development, you can hear groans from a large section of society, of the workforce, saying that as it is we are tasked with so many tasks and now you want us to spend time on learning and development also. Now this is a challenge which all of us meet in the workplace. So what are your views on it? How you try to counter this issue and get people to upskill themselves in the course of their work also?
What we have learned over millions and billions of years is, there is changes which are inherent, and you have to adapt yourself. So if you say that, we have so much to learn, we can't learn more, it's not going to work for you, right? You have to learn, you have to evolve. And with industries now, there is a concept of WINGS, which is work and industry neutral growth skills. So you have your skills, core skills, which is, it is a form of T structure. You have core skills, which is your domain specific knowledge, which you have to build on to stay relevant. But then there are other skills across, which is taking more and more value now, which is like creativity, critical thinking, leadership. So with the future of work and with machine doing all redundant and all the tasks that that can be done as monotonous task, if machine is taking that, then what is going to help here or aid here is just the human intelligence part, right? So you have to hone on that skill and to make sure that we are more relying on the human intelligence and not machine intelligence. So those kind of skills you need to develop. I would like to give here an example of, the past year there in news we had Amazon AI algorithm, which was actually trawling the web and trying to find the profile a profile which fits Amazon now. And this machine learning algorithm has built itself and learned by itself. So it was actually taking data from past 10 years, and it took the data of all the profiles in technical domain, which is predominantly male. Right? So when it was actually crawling over the profile, it would always rank the female profile down and take male profile as a, preferred candidate. So this kind of problems is going to arise. And here the skill is not, just to train an algorithm. Here this kind of skill you will need is how to train that algorithm right, and what kind of biases we want to remove, what is the ethical angle and the human angle you want to put in the machine. Right. So those kind of skills are going to be important, and there is no option but to learn them and upgrade yourself, and so that you are aware that you are not affected by the bias and you are not putting the bias in the machine as well.
Great. So I think the Amazon crawler needs to learn more on diversity and inclusion. Vignesh, I'm going to ask you to play the role of Shiva now, and I'm going to narrate a small story that Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu. Shiva became the mediator, and Brahma and Vishnu fought for supremacy. So I'm requesting you to become Shiva. And my question is, process and standardization looks at creating structure, whereas technology is becoming the disruptor. So now, who takes precedence and who's going to be the winner?
Right. So is technology Shiva, or is human intervention going to be Shiva? Because so the question,
you're Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu are fighting for supremacy in front of you.
So, I mean, I'll answer that differently. What are human beings good at? we are good at advisory. These are skills that we will still retain, right? Advisory, consulting, reasoning, management, administration. These things will not be automated for a very long time. So that still makes us shiva. Technology is still, going to be the tool that maybe the Trishul of sorts. So in a way, I'll start by saying that, you're spot on that we do develop a lot of frameworks, but that is based on the status quo, that is based on historic data. Yes. Now, we've heard this, people say this 100 times that, technology gets ahead, then policy follows. Yes, okay, that happens. But at the same time, how are we going to regulate? So when you regulate technologies, we need to start regulating them very intelligently. It's not going to be it can't be the old paper-based process of, something being put up on a notice board or published in the Gazette of India. These things have to change. So these frameworks would be, earlier when a policy was put out, we never saw it change for a certain amount of time unless it, it passed in both the parliament. See, we will have to iterate very fast. Right. And it's not going to be a sort of one-size-fits-all, especially for emerging technologies. So now, of course, circling back to what you said about the AI algorithms that are getting more intelligent, by the way, I saw this YouTube video where I believe that there is a chatbot that passed the Turing test. So does that mean that it is going to be the be-all and end-all for all these, for at least in AI? I don't think so. So that said, I strongly believe that this whole displacement of resources or jobs from man to machine, or at least our perception of it has to be recalibrated a little bit. I don't believe that an automation of a job means the end of a certain role. So I'll actually focus on a term called skill penetration. What is the source job? What is a destination job? So, and how much of a skill in the source job will apply in the destination job? Now, of course, Builder.ai is right here, who's automating the whole process for us. But in many ways, I won't take the AI example, but more on a non-humanoid robotic side. If you look at a knapsack sprayer who goes to an agricultural field and sprays pesticides. Now, somebody who sprays already understands how much, has a sense of the amount of pesticide or fertilizer that is required. Now, if you use robotic systems, maybe a drone or automated spraying systems, you don't necessarily have to wet the entire field with pesticides. So these are intelligent decisions that a machine can take. But the traditional knapsack sprayer will still have a sense and understanding of how the crops will respond to this level of spraying. So we humans definitely have a very predominant role, and this is going to be a hand-in-hand way forward. It's not that technology gets ahead and everybody is left by the wayside. That can never happen because we still hold the guardrails around how we develop our technology.
I'm just going to pause for a second, and I'm going to pose a question to the audience, and I'll come back to the audience in about 5 minutes. And my question to the audience is that what part of the people element of this framework of people, process, and technology cannot be replaced by either the process or the technology? And I will come back to Anju, and I'll ask a question which is centered somewhere around cyber security and cyber security. What is being created is being broken at a much faster pace. Let me give an example since we have Vignesh here. So very recently, a very large firm had its wireless system hacked. Now what the hacker had done is mounted a Raspberry Pi with pre-fed code onto a drone. He, he navigated this drone to the rooftop of this company, had it hacking into the wireless network of this company, and by the time the people could respond and react to that, he had already made his way into a certain depth. He had penetrated several layers of the cyber defenses. So now, since you're working in the field of AI, whatever is being created is being broken by humans or the people element. So how do we counter this threat?
Okay. We always use this term called human-assisted AI. You cannot have one take precedence over other. There has to be a healthy mix of both of these, coming together and working on a common thing. I'm not sure how many of us have realized, but when you put just a bot on customer service and there comes hilarious answers to a lot of questions that genuinely people try and ask because of that missing element of emotion. Now, coming back to your question around security and other elements, humans definitely stand a chance to make that error because there is that element which is manual there. And for that, you need the right processes. You need the right automation. But these automation needs a lot of learnings. That learnings will always come from humans because of the way, you know, testing has happened and other things. And you need a lot of data. Before even getting to this stage, you know, there are so many, you know, daily use cases that you get in our daily lives that needs the right amount of tests to be done before you train these bots or any automation tool for that matter, so that they know, because end user is always a human, right? So you cannot expect a bot or any automation for that matter to answer to an human which also has an emotion. So till the time you are not able to replace this, you cannot have one take precedence over the other. In the future we might get to that stage, but as in today, you know, it will have to be a healthy mix of automation, human processing and right training. That is the only way that can, you know, that can save us from a lot of these security breaches.
And I'll open up this question to all of you. You know, like I said, the fourth dimension is the partners. And now all of us are working in an immersive environment where you're required to partner with multiple other stakeholders. So how critical is this stakeholder management, and how should we go about it to do it efficiently?
Can I?
Or any of you could.
Let me start. You know, everyone is rushing towards something, right? As one of the gentlemen mentioned, that everything is needed as of yesterday. We don't want to even wait for tomorrow. So in such environments, you cannot start inventing the wheel from scratch every time. And that is where you need partners. And you know, if something is already built and is running right, you really don't have to rebuild it again. And with multiple people coming together, there is always that element of stakeholder management, which people will have to realize and manage. And that's the only way to succeed with partnership ecosystem, because you cannot keep inventing everything that you need in your daily use. You need right set of partners.
Great. Vignesh?
Yeah, so you know, it's as simple as that. I mean, this is the reason why emerging technologies are coming to the fore today is so that, you know, we improve as a community, we collectively improve, right? So it is definitely not a one-man solution, okay? And as you see, so it's a very simple question, forget the technology side of it. What was the crime rate in India 100 years ago? How much is it now? So the more you improvise and the more you improve, the number of vulnerabilities will also increase. Since you mentioned you know, the person flying the drone mounted with a Raspberry Pi and hacking into the systems. Now, is the solution to that banning of drones? I mean, my answer would be no. So if we have to solve that problem, there has been a technology hack, and there is, you know, it is a drone, sort of a non-humanoid robot has been used to create that hack, you know, the case study that you mentioned. Now, this is not, is this a technology problem or is this a law and order problem? So I think we need to look at it differently. So I definitely believe that, you know, there has to be a community intervention. This is the age of community creation. That's what we also do as an organization, bring people together and make sure we address, you know, where the fault lines are. And yeah, and I'm sure that, you know, with time, I think your first question was around the last mile. I think we have to take the awareness to that last person as much as possible. So, and I think as long as we do that, as long as we maintain that trajectory, I think, you know, there is no stopping a technology whose time has come, like they say.
Priyanka?
Yeah, I'll stick to the core question. We talk about partners. And for me, partnership means that you do what you are good at and do not try to explore all the areas. So you have partner who is good at something, there is another partner who is good at something, you know your core business, you are good at it, and then you are doing it for the customer who is your partner. So nowadays there is also a trend of working with the customers, right? So like in our industries, when we have to create a fragrance, we don't sit in a corner and say, okay, let me produce something and then I'll go and show you. We work together, so we have this feedback kind of thing. So this is also a kind of partnership partnership, and so that everything works not sequentially but parallelly, and you have the turnaround time which is quite quick.
Right. So, like you rightly said that the user is no more a consumer, he is a decision maker, you know. He is part of the entire business process, and it's very important to reach out to him. So, I would come back to the audience again in the interest of time, and my question to the audience was, what part of the people element of this triumvirate of people, processes and technology cannot be replaced by either the process or the technology? Yes? Show of hands in the last, yes, please get up and give an answer, please. If you could just introduce your name, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Joji Joseph from Reliance Power.
Great.
Answer to your question, according to me, it is a decision making. What to do, when to do, how to do. Rest, if it is a defined process, if it is a predicted process outcome, you can put up processes, technologies accordingly.
Great, thank you, great answer. Anybody else?
Yeah, good afternoon. Myself, Sridhar from Reliance. So, Anju had mentioned the emotion part of it. So, just to give an example, during our school days, we generally give an example. If one man can build a house in, let's say, 5 hours, and then how many men can do it in, let's say, 10 men can do it in how many hours? So we do not consider the emotional or the well-being state of that person. So that's one important aspect which I think of.
Great. Last answer, please.
Yeah, myself Ravi from Astride India Limited. See, I think someone told decision, I don't know. The AI is leads to that it is predictive decision. Also it comes, means there are certain areas, it's not in all areas, certain areas it can give a better decisions also. But very important thing is motivation, right? Anyone, you have a great systems, you have technology, but still you have a gaps to achieve your target. Means this can't be built with any process or a system or any technology. It's a human touch, human drive is required. And something uncertainty, right? What you know, you can train the bot. What you yourself don't know, how you can train the bot, right? Someone told in the morning in a panel, we are in the uncertain world. It is not a definite word, it is indefinite word, right? And what is the future works? So not what is the future works? Future work is all about how you handle the uncertainty. Probably what AI bot you bring, I don't know, it will equally match the human thinking, which can bring solution for such uncertainties and gaps still exist. And more will come in future. Thank you.
Thank you. So, in conclusion, I just say as that Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh are processes, people and technology. As they jostle for space and compete and collaborate with each other, I wish you all the best in all your digital journey. Thank you. Thank you to the panel.